Mercedes just secretly tested their 2026 engine, and the FIA is already in panic mode. Insiders claim this power unit is producing figures no one thought were possible under the new rules, and McLaren's early test run may have just triggered a full-scale investigation. Is this the beginning of a new hybrid war? Or will the FIA step in and shut it all down before the season starts? What's happening behind the scenes will change 2026 forever, so smash that subscribe button right now if you want the real story before the grid even lights up. When McLaren quietly rolled out a testing program with the prototype 2026 Mercedes power unit, few outside the factory walls realized the magnitude of what was unfolding. This was no ordinary engine test. This was a dry run for a system that some insiders are calling the most aggressive and radical interpretation of the FIA's new hybrid regulations to date. Sources close to the team reported that McLaren simulation data aligned almost too perfectly with the theoretical max performance ceiling, and that instantly raised flags. This wasn't about shaving tenths off lap times. This was about redefining the limits of what's possible under the new technical framework. The 2026 engine rules place significant emphasis on electrical power, fuel efficiency, and aerodynamic compensation, and that's exactly where Mercedes seems to have pulled off something extraordinary. Instead of playing it safe, the German manufacturer appears to have taken a risk-heavy approach, potentially exploiting gray zones in the wording of the FIA's active energy recovery and deployment protocols. Early test runs reportedly demonstrated blistering acceleration curves, exceptionally low drag at high deployment rates, and a seamless switch between electric and ICE phases. McLaren, who have recommitted to Mercedes power for 2026, suddenly find themselves in possession of what could be a title-contending weapon. But that level of performance doesn't go unnoticed in Formula One, especially not by the FIA's technical working group. Within just days of the data surfacing, senior figures within the governing body reportedly launched an informal review into the telemetry patterns and deployment ratios exhibited in the McLaren tests. The fear isn't just that Mercedes found a loophole, it's that their engine architecture might force every other manufacturer into a late and expensive redesign. Ferrari and Honda engineers, according to paddock whispers, have already requested clarification on specific clauses in the energy deployment thresholds. The situation quickly escalated behind closed doors. The FIA, wanting to avoid another arms race like the one seen in 2014 when Mercedes gained a multi-year head start, is now believed to be finalizing what's being described internally as a preemptive equalization directive. If this goes forward, it could lead to a mid-homologation rules clarification, a rare and controversial move. Historically, this type of intervention only occurs when a team gains an undeniable edge through unanticipated interpretations of regulatory intent, rather than outright illegality. This is technical politics at its most dangerous, and McLaren is now caught in the middle. McLaren's response has been diplomatic in public but privately confident. The team knows it may have just landed on a golden opportunity, but also understands the risk of regulatory backlash. With active aero systems still undergoing refinement and the balance between mechanical drag and electrical recovery under constant review, McLaren's chassis engine integration is under a microscope. This has prompted team principal Andrea Stella to request early meetings with FIA technical delegates to ensure full transparency. The last thing McLaren wants is to have their potential breakthrough neutered before the season even begins. Mercedes, on the other hand, have remained characteristically silent. Toto Wolff is no stranger to regulatory drama and likely understands the fine line between genius engineering and overstepping intent. The Brackley team has invested heavily in battery technology and thermal efficiency for this cycle, and the results from the McLaren test hint that their gamble might be paying off. But with the FIA now fully engaged and pressure mounting from rival manufacturers, Mercedes will have to defend their innovation without triggering a complete policy revision. It's a balancing act that could define the next 2 years of Formula One. What happens next will depend on what the FIA decides in the coming weeks. A counter-regulatory package is already being drafted, one that could close certain technical windows without calling out Mercedes directly. But that alone reveals the level of anxiety brewing across the paddock. If McLaren is allowed to run this power unit in its current form, the competitive order for 2026 might be shaped long before the cars ever hit the track. The stakes are massive. And as the sport prepares for a new era, the question remains, will the FIA hold the line, or will Mercedes engine innovation force a total reset? The true catalyst for this growing storm wasn't just performance, it was the telemetry. According to a source within an FIA-aligned simulation group, McLaren's data showed energy deployment curves that suggest levels of kinetic harvesting and redistribution that no other team has yet demonstrated. The suspicion is that Mercedes has found a way to integrate ultra-lightweight MGUK hardware with near-zero energy loss in high load zones. That kind of optimization isn't illegal per se, but if the output breaches the FIA's expected behavior models, the entire grid could be thrown into disarray. It's no longer a matter of if the governing body responds, it's how fast they do it. Teams like Red Bull and Aston Martin are already pushing back. Reports indicate that several engineers from rival power unit camps have requested immediate access to the FIA's anonymized test bank data to compare trends. The argument they're making is simple. If one team is reaching power densities significantly beyond the norm, the entire philosophy of equal regulation is at risk. Red Bull's head of engine development has reportedly described the McLaren Mercedes data as incompatible with projected 2026 flow rates. That kind of language suggests formal protests may not be far off. Inside McLaren's Woking headquarters, however, the mood is cautiously optimistic. While the team is aware that being at the front of innovation comes with scrutiny, they're also proud of the technical cohesion achieved during winter testing. This isn't just about horsepower, it's about how the new Mercedes power unit works with McLaren's evolving aero profile. One McLaren insider revealed that the car showed surprisingly balanced handling in high downforce simulations, particularly during active aero transitions. That kind of harmony between chassis and powertrain isn't common during early test phases, and it has executives quietly excited. But with every step forward comes a political ripple. The FIA's response may include updated technical directives as early as the next technical working group meeting. These directives could force teams to resubmit parts of their power unit designs or justify previously accepted configurations. If Mercedes is found to have pushed past the regulatory envelope, even without direct violation, it could trigger a precedent-setting reinterpretation of the 2026 framework. Such a move would inevitably delay homologation deadlines and potentially compromise development schedules across the grid. Meanwhile, McLaren's rivals are already drawing lines in the sand. Ferrari is believed to be exploring an emergency update to their ERS integration plan, while Alpine has reportedly recalled engineers from vacation to expedite test bench recalibrations. This is not normal pre-season procedure. What we're witnessing is a full-blown reaction to a threat of power unit so ahead of the curve that the rest of the grid is now chasing shadows. And that kind of pressure will not remain behind closed doors for long. What makes this drama even more explosive is the history between Mercedes and the FIA. Back in the early hybrid era, Mercedes secured a multi-year advantage by out-engineering their rivals under a brand new rulebook. Many in the paddock fear a repeat that once again, Mercedes has outmaneuvered the field during a transitional phase, locking in performance while everyone else is still interpreting the rulebook. The political fallout from such a repeat could be seismic, potentially reigniting debates over fairness, transparency, and even FIA governance. Ultimately, the coming weeks will determine how this story unfolds. If the FIA clamps down, it may level the playing field, but it will also anger teams like McLaren, who have played within the letter of the law. If the FIA holds off, Mercedes could run away with another early advantage, reshaping the 2026 season before the first green flag. Either way, one thing is clear, McLaren's early test has exposed more than just raw power. It has revealed the fragile balance of innovation and control that defines modern Formula One. At the heart of the FIA's concern lies a powerful irony. The very regulations designed to equalize the playing field, the 2026 power unit rules centered on electric efficiency and fuel sustainability, may have created a window for disproportionate dominance. While the FIA aimed to reduce costs, improve thermal efficiency, and encourage sustainability through increased reliance on electric deployment, Mercedes appears to have taken these constraints and turned them into a competitive weapon. The organization's success in extracting performance from limited battery energy and hybrid harvest zones has, in essence, challenged the foundation of the new rulebook. Digging deeper, the specifics of the Mercedes system reportedly feature a dual-mode deployment map that adapts not only to circuit layout but to aerostate, a radical synergy between engine and chassis. Sources close to McLaren's simulator team revealed that the car's ERS behavior is dynamically linked to active aero triggers. That means when the rear wing adjusts, so does the battery's discharge profile. In effect, the car is constantly self-tuning in real time, a level of integration the FIA may not have fully anticipated in their technical provisions. This level of innovation raises a critical question. Where does engineering brilliance end and rule bending begin? The FIA's role has always been to allow innovation within boundaries, but when one team exploits a gray area to such an extent that others must rewrite their entire approach, the sport risks becoming lopsided before a wheel has turned. And given the political climate, where teams like Audi and Honda are banking on a clean slate in 2026, allowing one engine supplier to streak ahead this early could be catastrophic for long-term competitiveness. The impact on McLaren's internal roadmap is equally dramatic. Up until late 2025, their development focus was centered on aero and weight distribution. But now, following this Mercedes collaboration and the astonishing results in early power unit integration testing, there's a significant internal shift. McLaren's leadership is now pouring more resources into software logic, energy deployment modeling, and thermal envelope management. In other words, they're reconfiguring how they think about performance altogether, not just from a chassis-first lens, but from a total systems architecture perspective. Competitors are watching with alarm. A senior Red Bull technician reportedly warned that allowing this level of real-time adaptive behavior from the ERS system, especially when linked with aero changes, could result in a situation where the power unit itself becomes a form of traction control, bypassing the intent of performance equalization. While no direct accusations of illegality have been made, the technical implications are serious enough that the FIA has now launched an internal compliance review to ensure all submissions fall within both the letter and spirit of the 2026 framework. The pressure is building fast, both politically and technically. The technical working group, which includes key representatives from every constructor, is rumored to be scheduling an emergency convening to discuss McLaren's early testing feedback. The agenda? Clarifying the limits of integration between ERS systems and vehicle dynamics. This could lead to brand new technical directives that reframe what's allowed in the design-to-track pipeline. For teams still refining their engine blueprints, this level of late-stage regulatory ambiguity could derail millions in development investments. All this chaos from a single test? It may sound dramatic, but this is Formula One, where secrets rarely stay hidden, and every technical breakthrough has a political consequence. McLaren's collaboration with Mercedes may have yielded a power unit that shifts the performance ceiling, but in doing so, they've also shifted the political climate of the entire sport. Whether the FIA decides to contain, support, or suppress this change will determine not just McLaren's fate, but the competitive balance of Formula One's entire next era.